Bobby Roast Beef, and we are here. We got ourselves a little Jigs and Bigs action going this week. We got a good one for you. I'm curious if you have ever struggled in that mid-September area as we transition from spring to fall patterns. You're not alone. It's apparently happening to everybody, and this week we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about it, folks. We have lots of stuff. I got a little bit of a bombshell to drop on you guys. That's coming up real early in the show. And this week we have a couple of good calls, actually, in the live wall, and an FTG. And it's somebody we've heard from recently, and it's a second call-up. And we've got some follow-up to do about all this stuff. We got all kinds of shit to talk about, guys. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. Your boy sent it, dropped the implication in the salt, and then some. And we're talking about hair jigs, Tiny's hair jigs. We had Tiny on the show last week, and I got to fish with some of his products. We're going to give my my input, my review. That's all coming up in this episode of Jigs and Bigs. Grab yourself something delicious to enjoy, and we'll see you guys in just a bit. Goddamn right. It's going to be that kind of a show. I'm 100% convinced. I am 100% convinced. God damn it.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, Joe, how are you, buddy? How was your week?
Oh, man, I am awesome.
Yeah.
Kinda. Week was okay. I mean, still not fishing, which blows absolute big donkey dick.
Yep.
You know, because I'm still seeing all the posts on Facebook and Instagram. I'm like, man, this sucks, dude. This sucks.
It does.
Like, and with the fall transition coming, I am such a sad panda. Little update on the old thumb. Finally went to the specialist a few days ago.
Yep.
And I gotta have surgery.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah. The worst. So basically the ligament, I got 2 torn ligaments in there. One she's super concerned about because it's almost all the way through. So essentially she's going to sew that back together and then put a synthetic ligament on over it.
We can rebuild.
Yeah, so I'm going to be like bionic, man. Like the rookie of the year, dude. Like, do you remember that movie?
I do,
with
yes.
The fucking... Yeah. So that is October 1st. I got to fucking go do that. And I'm not too happy about it. I'm pretty bummed out about it. But it was, we go in there. She's like, you can like, we can put you in like a brace or something for 4 weeks and kind of see what happens. But, you know, I'm not too confident that it's going to get too much better. I'm like, ugh, let's just fucking get it over with.
Yeah,
let's
we got to do it
instead of prolonging it.
Yep. It's rough.
So, yeah, so that's going to be my my month of October, which sucks. It sucks, but, you know, it could have been the beginning of the season, which would have been even worse. So gotta look at the silver lining of everything. And yeah, that's it.
Huh. I was going to say, you have a little bit more mobility, right? That's good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So like that last like splint they had me in sucked, dude. Yeah. I can't move my thumb really much still.
That's
like
probably
even with this off, it's still okay. But you know, I can do this now, which I couldn't do before. I can bring my index finger to my thumb. But so yeah, she said, she's like, it will get progressively better, but it'll never be good. If you like don't fix it. So because those fibers within that ligament just won't be able to reach one another and kind of like reattach and kind of heal on their own. So
damn, that's rough. Well,
it sucks.
How's sleeping now? Is it better with that brace?
Yeah, I still keep ripping it off in the middle of the night.
Oh, really?
I'm so bad. So it's funny. I was like, because Meg keeps yelling at me because I'll like take it off to like let my hand breathe, let my arm breathe a little bit, and she like accidentally I was doing something. She came over and like accidentally like grabbed my hand and like grabbed my thumb. And I was like, oh my God. She's like, well, she put that fucking thing back on. I'm like, sorry. But
that's brutal.
yeah. So Yeah, so I'm wearing it more, but I have been wearing it when I sleep, which is good. Like, but that's good. Sleeping's been fine, which is good. There's once in a while where I'll like tweak it a little bit. I'm like, ooh, but
it happens.
Yeah, it blows, dude. But what can you do? We're rough. Getting older. Shit happens. Dumb shit happens. This is we're actually like I'm in a, for those of you watching, I'm in my little bait garage here, so we're like right at the scene of the crime.
I know,
right behind me, right at the scene of the crime. The chalk, the body chalk is still like on the ground. You know what I mean? Crime scene and the crime scene tape.
So, but we're also let's let the listeners aren't seeing this, but any of the jig heads that are in here watching the live stream are like, they see something else is very, very obvious.
Yes. No more mustache. Mustache is gone.
Stash is gone.
It's gone. Yeah, and it's kind of a funny reason. So it's that time for fall allergies. And I get them terribly. Yeah. Myself and Jeremiah get them so bad.
Yep.
And like, dude, I was like blowing my nose the other day. Like I was blowing my nose, and you know how it is. Like you're like, oh my God, there's like snots in my mustache. You like wipe it off. And I was like, I had to trim it a little bit for work. It was getting a little crazy. Yeah. And like, as I'm trimming it, dude, I'm like, oh my God, there's like, is that snot in my mustache from blowing my nose so much? I'm like, oh, that's so gross. So that's I was like, rough. So I just was like, and just took it right off. And I was like, well, not when I got the fall allergies going on. I was like, that's fucking gross.
Yeah. So, there's a certain finesse of when it comes to mucus and facial hair.
Yeah.
There really is. There really is. A really good small comb helps clean things up pretty good. And you got to fix some stuff. I've also, like, let's be honest, when you have a beard like I do, and like you eat like just a ridiculous burger or something like that, or like wings, you're carrying that sauce around or whatever is in there for a little bit. And you just gotta, you're like, oh, I worked so hard to style this and get it like all brushed out nice and everything. And you've got to go hard with some napkins or paper towels and get everything out of there. Otherwise, it's an absolute mess.
I mean, well, with me having this thumb injury, and I will be out of work for a hot minute, so I will probably grow the beard out, like, because I don't get to do that very often.
Right? Yeah.
So I'll get to do that, and oh, dude, you know what? So let me go back to the thumb. So here's a wild thing about like them putting in a synthetic ligament. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, so they're gonna fix this. They're gonna put me in like a wrap or whatever after the surgery, and then I'm gonna have to like get put in a cast or whatever. I'm like, that's gonna fucking blow. Oh no, because it's a synthetic ligament going in there, a fucking week after the surgery, I have to start the like hand therapy to get that new ligament, like synthetic ligament moving like immediately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's going to be like tight. She's like, yeah, it's like it's like having to loosen a rubber band, basically. Like you have to.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of like, I'm sure, like stress ball activities. And stuff like that.
I don't like. So I have to go like right to occupational therapy like a week out. Like dude, I looked at like my chart today, and they're already scheduling shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ, but
I don't fool around, man.
Yeah, dude, they don't fuck around. But yeah, so that's the lovely shit that's going on in my life. How was your week, Bobby? Let's hear about it.
So I'm gonna start with, before I dive into my week, I'm gonna pull the fucking Band-Aid off. Now, Joe, you and I had a short conversation yesterday about this.
We did.
I've backed up a little bit since then, but I'm just gonna pull the Band-Aid off and let you guys know. Effective 2026, the monthly scavenger hunt series is gonzo. It's gone. I am keeping the opens, and I'm keeping the championship, because those folks that have already entered, like, they worked for it. You know what I mean? I also want to. This is twofold. So the scavenger hunt series, for those that don't know or weren't listening to the show in 2020 when this first started as a collaboration with an organization called Chronic Trips. And Chronic Trips is basically like an outdoor enthusiasts and cannabis enthusiasts sort of social club. And it was just basically stoners connecting, doing outdoor stuff together that had multiple common interests. And during the pandemic, it kicked off with this online tournament series that was a multi-species species, not a scavenger hunt per se. It was Sean the Fisherman, to give credit where credit's due. Wrong button, Bobby. But to give credit where credit's due, it was Sean the Fisherman that kind of honed the scavenger hunt series into what it eventually became. And we, I played a small role in there as far as bouncing ideas off of Sean and getting it. But he is the one that really kind of got the point system lined up and the way it all works. And that was kind of his baby. And, and the reality was, like, in 2024, in the spring of 2024, even earlier than that, when we knew that Sean was leaving the show, like, I knew that I was going to have to take over the role as tournament director. And guess what?
I fucking hate doing it. I don't like it.
I wish this show made the amount of money where somebody could come on as staff and run it. And it's just not there. It's genuinely just not there. The biggest thing is that, and here's the full reality, I went into the 2025 season with this on the chopping block. And it started in Expo season, because everybody I spoke to at every single show that I attended, and as well as folks online as well, was, and I say this in the nicest way possible, but they were 100% blowing smoke directly into my ass, because everybody had the same feeling that it was such a revolutionary idea. It was so cool and unique, sounded like such a fun time. But at the end of the day, we just didn't see folks entering. So I had made the decision before even the first open that I was going to enter the open, and that was going to be it for me entering. And here's why that was the case. I while it was really fun in 2024, I lived 2024 for the multi-species scavenger hunt. Like, it affected my fishing so much that if somebody was like, hey, we're going to go do this, I'm like, I kind of got to fucking squeeze in something where I can get a fucking pike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was on a month-to-month level, I didn't love what it was doing for me. But I'll tell you what I did love. The fucking open was so goddamn good. It was one of the most memorable weeks of 2025. And I've done some shit. You know what I mean? Like, that week was magic. It was so good. So I think what I'm going to do is, I made the conscious decision before we even started before April even kicked off, that in my mind, after the first open, I was going to sit back and just see what happened organically with the scavenger hunt. And it has just been brutal. It's been brutal. We've had like 3 or 4 people that will enter that are regularly. And I appreciate you guys. You deserve a round of applause. I really do. But I'm a firm believer in, what's good for a few. What's the word? Spock said it. What's needed by many outweighs the needs of a few. And I think that in this situation, it's just time for us to put that to rest and move on and push the open, because this is something that can go into a box that people can plan for instead of it being ongoing. And it's very cool that it's ongoing. But, if people really want to, and I'm also like not a tournament guy. Like, I've been shouting that from the mountaintop forever. I do want to say this is not going to affect the slot limit series at all. The slot limit series is you guys showed up. The interest is there. You guys are taking part in it. We're 100% going forward with the slot series. So the slot series is going to be every single month for sure. In fact, the slot series you might see show up in some months twice. Like, there might be 2 of them in April and May, and in September and October. You might see that in 2025, because it is just one day, and sometimes it doesn't work for somebody to be in on only one, And when the fishing is like kind of fire, like in July, it's a grind, But like that May tournament was fucking bananas,
That was great. Yeah.
The April one was a challenge, it was, and it was so exciting. And the reality of it is, it's like, I know a lot of people think, oh, it's a catch 'em all style and everything. I am only judging the top team or the top anglers. And I kind of let something slide there that, yes, I am considering a team tournament too. That is so this is a trade-off. It's just that the scavenger hunt, while I love it and it's a great idea, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna lean toward, hey, we're gonna do the opens, we're gonna continue with them. So the October open is still happening for sure. I could do the October scavenger hunt. I'm probably not going to, just because, I want to push folks to enter the open. I know that there's a few folks that want to jump in on the open, and I think that if we do the open and the championship, it kind of is like a means to a goal. To something that's actually achievable, because I do love the community aspect of it, but I'm telling you guys, like, it's a whole lot easier to tell somebody, hey, you have all month to go and fish and pre-fish and do whatever, but that 1 week is the scavenger hunt week. Plan that 7 days versus, hey, you have a month to fish and do whatever and get out there and catch all these species, but then it's kind of hanging on your back that whole time.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. So that's going to be, there is going to be a change in that aspect, that the monthly scavenger hunt is going away, but the opens and championship are going to stay. The slot limit tournament's going to stay. You're probably going to see more of them in the prime times of the year, just to keep it fun. And yeah, I think we're also going to dip our toes into some other, specific species stuff as well. Like John Hagens has had a role as far as being a voice in my head throughout the 2025 year, and I could definitely see some cool stuff coming in the future regarding like different species per se. And the species list is going to change for the open as well. We're probably going to be adding some in there just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we're going to try to open it up for folks, and make it genuinely like more of a game. So that's the big thing. Let's talk about my week. All right. So your boy, I fixed that strap on my winch. I did.
Oh, good.
I did. Good. I went down. It was Tuesday. I headed down. I was looking at the inventory at Cabela's, and I found that they did have the strap that I needed. Unfortunately, they didn't have. They have the strap that I bought. It's a 2-inch wide strap, and it comes in 3 lengths: a 20, a 25, and a 30, or maybe it's even a 35. But there's 3 different lengths. They only had one, and it was a 25. So I was like, okay, this winch, this spool is chock full. Like it is almost to the point where it's scary. Like it's one more rotation and I would be like, I don't know about this. Yeah. I definitely could. In fact, I'm going to be buying the 20 and replacing the one that I bought, because when the boat is just a little bit off, that strap goes right over the gears and it's starting to get chewed up right there. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna fix this.
Yeah.
We're not fucking around.
People don't think about the little things like that.
Yeah. I was just like, man, but I'll tell you what, it worked great. I used it all weekend. So I didn't really get out and fish at all until Friday. Friday I went and I sent it. I went out to I got up that morning. I brought my daughter to school. I came back. I got all my gear. While I was at Cabela's, I also treated myself to a little bit of an upgrade. New piece of equipment that I brought in. I replaced my camp stove this year. And I love the old school. It's like a 70s era Coleman stove. And it's great because it's so flexible. But earlier this year, while I was doing some work in my storage unit, the latch that closes the lid just fucking came flying off. So like I have to keep it flat now. And it's just like, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to restore it. And fit, because it works great, except for like one of the burners, the left burner, is a little bit touchy. Sometimes it'll work, no problem. Other times I can barely get it to light,
Sure.
So I'm like, this thing is cool. It is not worth putting it like through the ringer. So I bought like a Cabela's brand or a Bass Pro brand, like their version of like a Coleman stove. Nothing crazy, but I did get a carrying case with it where I can hold a couple of small tanks of propane. So it's great. I can have propane and just carry that one thing to have it on hand, but I can also, because I've got the adapter, I can bring my 20-pound tanks and use those for like longer trips. So it is flexible. I used it this past weekend. It's absolutely awesome. some tungsten that I needed to get my hands on. I've talked about this before when it comes to drop shot weights. I needed to, I throw a lot of like 8th and 16th ounce drop shot weights. Again, like always, like just light as possible. But there are times when a drop shot's going to get the job done. So I picked up some 1/4 ounce weights. And I do want to say this week something happened in the world of Dark Horse Tackle. And that happened there is that Wicked Weights is available now at the Dark Horse Tackle bait shop. If you're looking for tungsten, I mean, we're talking worm weights, flipping weights. They got these. They call them a free rig / drop shot weight. Basically, it's like a teardrop shaped drop shot weight that's got a circle fastener instead of the type that clips. So yeah, you have to tie a little bit of a knot there. But what's nice is now you're buying that weight, and now it'll do double duty. You can use it as a free rig weight, which is pretty slick. So you'll get a little bit more use out of that. There's nail weights as well. So go check it out at Dark Horse Tackle. I'm going to be doing, I think next month's order is probably going to be all terminal for the most part. I'm going to just stock up on some stuff that I need and put that off to the side. But I'm definitely going to be dabbling a bit with those, specifically with the drop shot weights, because I'm interested. I'm very interested. So that's going on. So I picked up all this gear. I got things together, and I'm ready to go. Drop off my kid, and I head back to the house. I get all the boxes checked. Everything's good, and I hit the road. I went to go meet Becca, and we went up to a spot in the Cape. And she's like, initially I was like, I'll go up to Maine. I'm like, if you're going to be at the cabin, I'll just go up to Maine. And she's like, I'm actually going to be in Massachusetts. She goes, so if you want to just, get together. And she's like, I haven't done a camping video in months. And she's like, it's all been cabin content. So let's go ahead and do it. And then we planned on, we were only going to do one night. We camped at a spot at a cranberry bog. It was pretty slick. It was a nice little setup. We weren't there for very long. We were basically there for about 12 hours. And most of that was sleeping. The rest of it was eating. It's pretty much what it was. So we met up at this spot that she knew that had some pretty good saltwater fishing. So yeah, I have dropped the implication into the salty abyss. Yeah, and I was a little freaked out about it. I'm very glad that we dropped it in fresh water the next day. I was able to kind of get some fresh water through everything and all that quickly. But we went out, and the plan was, I've never fished for stripers, never. And Becca's like, I got you. She's like, make sure to have this on the boat. You'll be good to go. But she's like, we're going to do a little bit. And we go out and we hit this spot, and it's a really nice area that's actually pretty sheltered. So when it gets kind of dicey, where you're a little bit like, we have a little bit of shelter there. It was pretty good. Spoiler alert, 0 striper were caught, but we caught the shit on a big scup. Becca hooked a bluefish. That was pretty good, a decent sized bluefish. I thought that was going to be the first striper, the way it was fighting. We caught a bunch of dogfish, which I was kind of surprised at, because the only other time I've ever caught dogfish, it was much further offshore.
Yeah, they're everywhere, man.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, no shit. I did catch a sea robin. I also caught a pufferfish.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. This thing, I pulled them up, and we were throwing, for a lot of this, we were just trying to figure out like where the bait was and everything. And I'll tell you what, man, the electronics played, because it was really great. And Nova was on the boat, and she was like, I guess pretty recently, I guess Becca was on her aluminum boat with Nova, and Nova just jumped right in the water. And she goes, I'm kind of okay with that. She goes, I don't know how okay I am with her doing this in the ocean, because there's a lot that's out there that could kind of give her some shit, And we're not just talking like sharks and stuff, but there's that too. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fair enough. Like the scup, like, oh yeah, there was a black sea bass that Becca caught. And I mean, it was a whole like smorgasbord, and some of these scup were huge, dude, like bigger, like giants. And I'm like, should we keep a couple? Because my thought was, I was making this Asian-inspired noodle dish for dinner, and I was like, if we stop and we grab some like lemongrass, I've got plenty of garlic. I'm like, we could steam these suckers, and they would be dynamite. And I was like, if you want to clean them, I was like, that's a difference. I'll cook them, but you got to clean them. She's like, I just don't want to deal with it. And she's like, I know we're gonna have enough food. I was like, all right, so fuck them. We let them all go. I got so much squid guts all over the boat, because That's what it was. We were like, we fished for stripers with topwater and with soft plastic swim baits to no avail. We did catch some fish later in the day on those, but they were like the sea robin I caught on a swim bait. Shit like that. But when we were like, okay, let's just go find something to catch something, we found a good deep spot and marked like just these big bait balls. And then we were just dropping these high-low rigs and just kind of bouncing them vertically right under the boat. And then boom, it'd be like scup, pufferfish, dogfish, like all this stuff. Becca looks at me and she's like, do you have a squid knife? And I'm like,
look at who the fuck you're talking to, Becca.
I was like, I have a knife on the boat. And she brought a knife as well. I'm like, I have a knife on the boat, but I do not have a squid knife. I was like, oddly, I have a cutting board. So, we're chopping up squid. We're dropping these high-low rigs down. We're catching fish. We're having a good time. We had gone back to the dock because Becca was starving and she had DoorDash some food to the ramp. And we go back and we're sitting there, doing our thing. And Nova's running around all over the place. There's this couple that was walking around. They had this giant black dog. Honestly, from the size of the dog, I was like, I've never seen an all black Rottweiler before without any of the brindle or anything else. They referred to this dog as a super mutt. He was actually a good mix of like what Nova was, but with Rottweiler as well. The dog's name was Sully. And great fucking name. And I guess Nova was just so excited to see another dog. She was just losing her mind. It was absolutely adorable. Becca's got a great video of this. I didn't record the salt stuff only because I was like, I just want to get out there and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, I have a couple of clips on my phone that I grabbed and you'll see some of this stuff over on that, but go check out Becca's video when it drops. It's going to be a little bit, but she put together a whole video. We had a great time. It was a blast. We left that spot. We went over to the camp spot and we had to do a little bit of off-roading there. It was a little crazy. We found the area where we were going to camp and we set up real quick. This is the first time I have ever taken and inflated like my mattresses and everything before I even went out. So that this way I was like, it's just less stuff to have to do. And I organized my truck in a way where all my storage for all my gear that was coming out was on one side and I stacked the mattresses on the other side, pulled all my gear out, set everything up, flipped the other mattress over, laid out my bedding, and I was good to go. What I made for dinner that night was this peanut chili noodle dish. And it was out of this fucking world. Like, it was so goddamn good. We housed this. I made way too many noodles. And it was dynamite. The ingredients list is pretty simple for the most part. But a lot of these ingredients I had to pick up at like an Asian supermarket. And some of them were like, I had to buy big bottles of like dark soy sauce and rice wine vinegar and stuff like that. So I've got the ingredients to be able to do almost anything. Like, I can do so much with this. We sat around the fire and we had dinner. Becca made dessert and she made banana boats. Which, if you guys don't know what a banana boat is essentially where you take a banana in its peel and you basically slice it open in half. You fill it with whatever toppings you want. We had peanut butter accessible because of the noodle dish. We used that. We used a little marshmallow fluff and some nuts and some fruit, and we put all this together. You wrap it all up in foil and you basically tuck it next to the coals in the fire, and it just kind of just cooks real slow right there. Everything kind of melts together. The banana gets really soft. You just spoon it all out. It was
dynamite.
I got no other way to explain it. It was absolutely nuts. So we ate like kings. We decided we'd call it pretty early because the plan was we were going out to fish freshwater the next day at a spot that Becca has had really good experience catching smallies on. So this is a new spot for me. I'm always looking forward to it. We get over there. And we go and we launch the boat, and it was cold. It was real cold that morning. In fact, I broke camp at like, with all things included. I'm talking about like doing the dishes, packing everything up, packing up my camp bathroom scenario, all that stuff. I was done in an hour and 15 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is great. I made great time. Becca was so gracious as to stop by Mary Lou's and grab your boy an iced coffee.
So good there.
Dude, isn't it? It's so good.
Oh, my gosh. It's so good.
I guess Lila used to work at Mary Lou's, like, when she was younger. I'm like, dude, their coffee's fantastic. So we hit the water, and we're feeling pretty good. Like, we really were. Like, we were marking fish all over the place. It was a tough bite. I started out throwing top water because it's early, and that's what you do. Couldn't even get like even a sniff. Threw a downsized, not a bait finesse, but like what was it? A brigade blade. No, it wasn't. It was a commando. Because I'm like, we'll go a little bit more subtle, but we'll see if the flash is going to do it. Got a tap, nothing really crazy. Finesse swim bait, nothing. Becca was throwing a drop shot. She hooked, I think, a yellow perch in this one area. So I'm like, all right, I'll downsize a little bit. Busted out the bait finesse gear, started throwing around some stuff. Threw around a juvie crawl up around some rock piles and things, looking to get bit. Nothing at all. We ended up moving down out quite a bit, getting out towards some deeper water. And there was a point that just looked really good on the map. So we go and we hit it, and there was a nice ledge coming off of this one side of this point. And we were just make a cast up shallow and allow the baits to just kind of drop. I caught a giant chain pickerel, an absolute tank on, was it a finesse swim bait or was it no, it was a koosh ball bladed jig from HH Customs with that runner trailer. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. Cause I was like, maybe a little bit of vibration is a good thing, but maybe the downsize is kind of what they want. I also, off that same point, caught the biggest white perch I've ever seen. Absolutely housed this bait. That was it for me. Becca caught one smallie when we had crossed over to the other bank and started working our way back. She did catch one smallie on, I think it was on a drop shot, and then she caught a bluegill on an inline spinner. And that was it for us. I mean, and it was like, it was starting to get hot at that point in the day. She had some stuff that she had to do later that night. We decided we'd just kind of call it right about noontime. I mean, we were on the water for like 5 or 6 hours. And we're like, let's go ahead. And actually, the other anglers that were on the water that we were talking to, one guy said he did okay, but he was like, it was all like Ned rigs on the bottom, like, and it was just like pulling teeth. He's like, and he was the first one out there. I think he was out there before sunup, and he was like, he's like, I caught like maybe 3 or 4 fish, but he was like, I had to work, and I think he was scoping for him, looking at the rig on his boat. So I'm like, that'll definitely help for sure. The other dude that we talked to, he struggled all day, wasn't able to get on any of them, and it was good. We had a good time. I decided I'd call it, come back home, and I wanted redemption. I came home and I was like, I got barbecue on the mind, so I said, we failed last week. Let's go ahead and give it an order. Well, we made it happen, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy, he got his birthday barbecue. Made an order from Pit Stop and had a brisket sandwich with a little mac salad. Oh my God. Just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Slept like a rock. Got up that next morning. On my way home, I texted my father and I was like, hey, I'm thinking I'm not done fishing for the weekend. What do you say you and I go out to the Swift River and just fish for some trout? A few hours. I was like, I got a lot going on. I've got to work tonight, and I have a truck full of camp gear that I have to go and swap for my work equipment. So I was like, I have to get that in. So I was like, we'll fish till like noon. So I picked him up, and we headed out to this spot. And I had received, I knew this had arrived because our last week's show, our guest in the beef seat was Tiny from Tiny's Hand-Tied Jigs. So Tiny had sent me a package, and on the way to go pick my father up, I actually went live on Instagram, and I was talking about this. I mean, dude, he sent me a quart size freezer bag that was full of these little baggies full of crystal meth. No, full of hand-tied jigs. And it was like bulging. Like you couldn't close it. It was so full. And the variety that's in there, like Tiny and I talked a little bit about some of the more like innovative designs that he's come up with. A couple of them are like, one of them includes an inline style buzzbait that, and he hand ties all of these jigs. So like all of the hair is placed like perfectly. These patterns are unbelievable. There were a couple that were in there that are like underspin style. They had a tiny Colorado blade on the bottom, and these are light jigs. I think the heaviest ones are like an 1/8 ounce. I think the inline stuff like that buzzbait might be a little bit heavier, but the heaviest ones are like about an 1/8 ounce, and the patterns and the color variety is just nuts. Even the head shape. There are some that are round ball jigs that are very traditional. There are some that are a little bit more like oblong kind of shaped, like the one that I was using. I'm going to actually show you the picture, Joe, of this one. And it was pretty badass. It was one of those deals, and I was using these to fish for trout. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. See how it looks almost like a bean,
Yeah. Okay.
And it's got that blade on the bottom. And, so I was casting around those. I was like, well, we'll start with one of these. And then he's got these really interesting ones where the weight almost is shaped like an hourglass on its side. And the outsides of that hourglass shape have eyes. And so it's got this huge head that looks like from the side it looks like a jig, but you look at it forward on and it goes like this, right down to the hook. And some of these just look absolutely nuts. It did take a little bit of work because I'm like, okay, these are jigs. They're I really needed to throw them on my pig jigs rod, because it's a little bit more moderate. You know what I mean? It would load up a little bit better. Plus, and this is one of those situations where that Arc Gravity BFS reel was huge. It played a giant role because for the really light stuff, I was able to just open up the slot, switch that to the next like lowest break setting, and then immediately was just like casting like a mile. It was ridiculous. So very, very cool. I on that inline spinner, I did have the picture that I showed you. I don't have that jig anymore. It is in the mouth of a chain pickerel. I did hook a chain pickerel.
Of course.
I got him to the boat, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and net this guy just because, again, like super light line. Wanted nothing to do with it. We saw so many big trout belly to the bottom, and they were chasing my bait, but they just weren't committing to it. So I was changing some stuff, and I was going back to some stuff that I was tried and true over there that has worked well. Inline spinners have worked great for me. Tiny finesse jigs with like a swim bait trailer have worked for me. They would the things that got the most interest from these trout, and I mean, dude, I'm talking about some of these were like 19, 20 inch trout, like just big. And
sure.
It was the stuff that worked the best while I was out there were those underspin hair jigs, 100%. I even took one of them and I trimmed it a little bit to give it a little bit of a shorter profile, and they'd get right up to it and just kind of nip the very end of it, and they just turn right off. And I'm like, it got cold. It was chilly when we got there. Like, it's very rare that you see fog coming off of the Swift River as cold as that water is. It was like that yesterday morning. It was crazy when we got there first thing. It didn't last long, but it was kind of nuts. So yeah, it's pretty badass. I'm very, very excited to see where this goes with that. In fact, the next fishing trip that I've got is going to be either out that way, or I'm going to go to Lashaway and fish for crappie and panfish and kind of focus on, and smallmouth too. You know what I mean? I mean, these might kill it, and especially like the light stuff, like for river smallies. That's another thing Todd and I were talking about. Yeah. It could be fucking amazing. We got John Hagens in the house. He's boom. He was having an issue with comments on here. He's like, back in the building. Nice. Good. I'm glad you're here, man. We also got Zek in the house here. It says, morning, boys.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, I can say fishing with experience that Tiny puts together a great product. Like, fantastic. I was fishing these in one of the most difficult trout fisheries where, I mean, it's like gin clear. They can see absolutely everything. And when they're just finicky, they're just finicky. Everybody that we spoke to was the same thing. In fact, my dad was throwing like, this is an interesting rig. He has these hooks that have a couple beads on them and a small willow blade. It's the weirdest shit. And he put like a night crawler on there, right? And he's just like dragging it as I was moving upriver, just letting it go. He got one good hit that cleaned him out, and that was it. That was it. Like, they were just not munching. Like, I was kind of hoping that they would be. There is some stuff in this bag from Tiny too that is painfully small. Like, it's going to take a little bit of like effort to figure out how I'm going to make this. It's going to test my bait finesse gear. It really is pretty cool. Todd says crawler harness. Kind of. That's kind of what the deal was. But it's good shit, man. Good shit. Uh-oh. Zach chimes in. He says, Joe, wait till you throw that bladed jig from Deeks and Dixon. It's so good.
I want to throw it, Zach. I want to throw anything right now.
It's fucking terrible.
I'll throw a fucking bobber in China right now. I just want to fish so bad.
Oh, yeah, that is brutal. The fact that you're able to make contact now with your thumb and index finger is big. Like,
yeah, it's huge. It's huge, which is good. I just don't know how it's going to be after. I mean, I got 2 weeks till the surgery, so we'll see.
Even after surgery, like once you get through the first week or two, they very well might want you to not baby it, like to go out and actually use it.
Maybe, yeah,
and
we'll see.
Could be a good thing where you're just like, oh, you're saying I should be fishing, and to be honest, I think the most difficult thing, not even reeling in fish, tying on lures is going to be, I think, because that's so much fine dexterity.
I didn't even think of that, Bobby.
Right?
That's like that fine motor skills. I definitely don't have that right now.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy. I'll tie your shit on for you, Joe. You'll be my second client.
Like back my dad had to do it. Like,
exactly.
Oh, Bobby, can you do this for me?
Oh,
can you put my worm on the hook?
It's magical, Maybe this is the year you pick up trolling. And you're just like, okay, we're going to get these rigs. We'll tie them on super easy, whatever. I did something that I don't do typically this last time out with my dad.
Yeah.
I picked up, when I was at Cabela's, I was like, I had a feeling I was going to be doing some trout fishing soon. And I was like, I'm going to grab some snap swivels for my inline spinners. Mm-hmm. I normally tie directly to. And yeah, line twist is kind of a thing. And Zach shuts and he goes, I'll pick out your backlashes, bro.
Thanks, buddy. I love you.
And I normally just tie directly to, and with bait casting gear, it's far less of an issue. But you can get line twist that builds up, and you can feel it on the line. You can feel like the ridges as it twists around. So I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. I don't love it. I like the direct line tie. If I knowing, like, I like the direct line tie. I really do. I will say the one thing that I do like is I like having a snap and being able to change out colors, because inline spinners are one of those things where, like, yeah, you're going to be changing them out. Until you dial on what they want, you're going to be swapping them back and forth and all that stuff. And somewhere up here, Eli goes, he goes, oh, yeah, boys, what do you think of the inline spinner from Dangle in the most recent box? If it's the same.
I don't think I got the most recent box yet. Like the one, I think it's supposed to get delivered today.
Yeah.
If it's last month.
If it's the same inline spinner, and I don't think that it is what they had put out before, because there were two of them, the Canon and I forget the other one. It's also from Dangle. Just absolutely awesome. Those are a mainstay. I've bought some in the bait shop. In fact, I gifted one. Oh, Todd says it has an EWG. Oh, okay. Ooh. I could see that being interesting. I actually gifted my dad one, and he's like, this lure is the best lure I have used since I've gotten my hands on it. He's like, I have caught more fish on this little, and like, I mean, again, like, he should be throwing this on the combo that I bought him for Father's Day X amount of years ago. He's throwing it on the tiniest ultralight, and it's 3.5/16 of an ounce. It's a bit heavy for that ultralight, but he's doing it. He is doing it. Yeah, he says it's not the same. You'll have to take a look at it. I'm sure it's going to end up in the bait shop. We'll have to take a look at it over there. I'm getting blown up over here. No, I have not. No, my daughter wants to take me out for a birthday breakfast on Tuesday. And
that's nice.
I'm like, hell yeah, dude, let's go. If that's the case, I might actually take the boat with me, because the spot where she wants to go is kind of near his place in Connecticut. Oh, and Wild Bill Fishing and I made plans to go and fish. We're going to hit up a weekday. Again? Yeah, that's the word on the street. I brought him in on the live I did yesterday as I was driving to pick up my dad. And I was like, listen, dude, we got to fish. We got to get out there. Now, I don't know what's brewing at Hooks at Hoodlums.
Is he bringing his golf clubs?
I think he is. He actually, when when he was on the live, he was in a golf cart, Joe.
Of course he was.
No joke. And I think I heard Scotty Scheffler in the background, like just fucking roasting him. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, golf's a weird game. Not my thing at all. But for those that love it, you do you, boo.
Dude, I used to play it a ton. That used to be my jam.
Really? Yeah, I can never get into it, man.
Yep.
I respect it because it's a hard fucking game to play.
It is. So it's funny. I've said it and I'll say it again. I'll argue with anyone about this. That is the hardest sport to play.
Yep.
Because it is so technical.
It is so stupid technical. Like everything. Yep. It's crazy. It is it's just fucking bananas. So it was good, you know? I mean, I had a great weekend. It was an awesome birthday. Big shout out.
Good.
Big shout out to Becca for coming out. And we were going to record a segment, but we were just cooked by the time we had eaten dinner. And I was like, you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we'll record on the boat. And what my plan was I was just going to use my GoPro, use the mics that I use on that, and we were just going to record as we talked on the boat. And we were just fishing. I was like, you know what? I go, we can just do this after the show. You know, whenever. We'll have you on, and she's due to guest co-host anyway, so we can go ahead and do that. Todd says, I played golf in high school. Really? Yeah, I don't know, man. I never got into it. Like, I've gone to the driving range a couple of times. I've done pitch and putt, and I'm like, that's fine. But, like, some people get bit by the bug, and that's their thing. And that's cool. It's just not my thing. Oh, hold on a second. Zek says, just the tip. I say old Domino's pizza is waterproof. Yeah, Zek shared a video with me this morning of proving that Domino's pizza does not get soggy when you drop it in the river and pick it up immediately. Rinse it off with bottled water because, you know,
health,
and then continue to consume it on camera. It was probably single-handedly the best video I've seen this week. You know, kicking things off. That might make it in my 90-day challenge, by the way. This week kicks off week 2 of my 90-day challenge for YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Week number 2, I got to watch a lot of videos and rate some things. So that's going to be a little bit nuts. Todd says lots of bass in those ponds. That is true. Lots of bass, lots of lost balls, lots of gators if you're down in that area.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Oh, so yeah, that about does it for me as far as my week in review. Let's go ahead and dive in. Joe, we got some headlines to go over?
Yes, sir.
I love her.
So, do you remember back in April, during an MLF event on Smith Lake, the boat crash that ended up in some fatalities?
Yep, I do remember. Oh, there's fucking lawsuits.
So, lawsuit filed against Major League Fishing for boat crash on Smith Lake last April.
Really?
Yeah. Lisa Little, widow of Smith Lake angler Jeffrey Little, age 62, from Brandon, Mississippi, has filed a lawsuit against Major League Fishing and others for his death. Jeffrey Little was killed when a boat driven by MLF competitor Flint Davis rounded a lake bend in the Miller Flats area of Smith Lake at high speed. His boat struck a center console vessel containing several anglers, including Jeffrey Little, who was thrown out of the boat and drowned. The center console boat was operated by Gary Holcomb of Smith Lake Striper Guide Service. The defendants' name in Lisa's Little's lawsuit include Major League Fishing, Boyd Duckett, Gary Holcomb, and Flint Davis. The suit for unspecified damages in part reads, defendant MLF, including its president defendant Boyd Duckett, knowingly created a culture in its fishing tournaments that encouraged, incentivized, and caused participants to negligently, recklessly, and wantonly operate their fishing vessels in a manner that endangers public safety, and MLF did in fact encourage, incentivize, and cause defendant Flint Davis to negligently, recklessly, and wantonly operate his fishing vessel in a manner which resulted in Jeffrey Clayton Little's death. The lawsuit also states that MLF failed to have safety parameters for tourney participants and did not consult with local officials regarding lake boating safety procedures. The suit continues that defendant MLF, including the president, defendant Boyd Duckett, ignored the dangers of unregulated speeds in its competitive bass fishing tournaments. It knowingly adopted lax safety standards as well, including but not limited to failing to ensure participants had a boat license or boating safety certificate for driving a boat. The suit further alleges that MLF and defendant Duckett had no boating safety plan in place for this tournament that would have provided rules and regulations for safe travel on the lake that would protect the public in general and the anglers in the competition. Upon information and belief, MLF failed to consult with local law enforcement officials, marine police, and or boating experts to develop a safe boating plan for this tournament. It further asserts that MLF should have placed restrictions on boat horsepower and limiting the number of console electronics that might block drivers' sight lines. Comment I have on that is there is a boat horsepower limit. So
yeah,
the plaintiff also demands a jury trial on all issues of its 16-page lawsuit. So, yeah, so there's that lawsuit. It's going through the court system. We'll see what happens. Everything I understand, but they do have a horsepower limit. The horsepower limit is 250.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's just shitty. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you hear shit like that, it really is. I understand it's a fucking tragedy what happened on the water, but like, I don't know. I don't even really necessarily have a comment. I'm just like, I'm not surprised.
No. It was coming. I mean, we all knew it was coming. I think we talked about it like 4 months ago. Yeah. Like, hey, we're surprised this hasn't come down yet. But yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. That's why, MLF probably has great insurance, or hopefully they have great insurance, because I think most likely,
yep.
Kind of, this will get settled out of court. Yeah. For an unspecified amount that we'll probably never know. I'm sure they will ensure that all these things that they are mentioning, like the safety plans and everything, they will get put in place. The horsepower limits, they'll start saying, maybe they'll start giving speed limit. I mean, most bodies of water have speed limits. So it's yeah. Maybe it's going to become the active enforcement of those speed limits, which would significantly change the way tournaments are, because sure. that would completely change the tactics of each angler, because they would have to base their timelines and everything much differently. I mean, if they are being cut down to, or held accountable to a certain speed limit. So I mean, look at the guys that do that, the St. Lawrence River. I mean, they're only fishing about 3 fucking hours a day, because they're driving 2 hours.
Yeah, they're running
all 2 hours. They have to stop and get fuel multiple times just to get out to the lake. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's going to be stuff like that. Whereas, like, if they start putting speed limits, that wouldn't even be an option for them. You know what I mean?
And there's the speed limits, but also like there is something that could be done as far as like changing the areas where folks can launch, instead of it being all one central launch location. Yeah, and I get it. That's going to affect the television aspect. Dude, I totally get it. But at the same time, like, it also might make it a little bit more interesting to see how the launches work, because then you're like, well, what's the strategy here? So-and-so is launching closer to the lake. I wonder if that's where they're trying to set up, or if they're just trying to fish the delta, The only issue I could see with that is, they have to pay a large fee in order to take these boat ramps for the day. Yeah. So they'd have to, taking several would be, triple or plus the amount that they have to pay. There's coordinating.
Who knows what'll come from it. I'm sure next season, if I was a betting man, I would think next season kind of may have some kind of change. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be the horsepower. It'll probably be ensuring that people have boater safety. I mean, I've never been checked for a boater safety course in other states that require them.
Yeah, no, definitely not
in tournaments. So we'll see. To To be determined, but my guess is, they're saying they want a jury trial. I highly doubt that'll happen because once they see money signs in front of their face, a lot of people's minds change. So
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And it does. I mean, because she's pretty much going after all the parties involved. Yeah, it feels very cash grabby.
100%. That's 100% what it is. I mean, there's no specific crime. There's not like a crime that is attached to this lawsuit. It's
an MLF is probably, if I had to venture, there's an affidavit you have to sign, or there's like almost like a terms of service when you enter a tournament, right? Like there's paperwork. Yeah. I'll bet you buried in there. MLF pushes all liability off themselves.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I guarantee it. I mean, that would be the smart thing.
Yep. Like as an organization. So they're like, but the fact that she's going over after Boyd Duckett directly, and I've got my own opinions on Boyd Duckett, but like all that regardless, like he's still the figurehead. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, yeah, the fact that she's doing that, I feel like it's like hedging their bets.
Yeah, dude. Let me just read here again. So Major League Fishing LLC, Boyd Duckett himself, Gary Holcomb, who was the captain of which that one's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, because he was the captain of the
vessel that got struck.
Was he a guide?
Yes.
Like, dude, that's fucked up, man.
So it's a money grab. She's trying to grab money. Which, granted, there should be some monetary compensation. Some sort of compensation. That's just kind of how our society is.
Yep.
And Flint Davis is the one who is, in the end, he's the one who's at fault.
Responsible for his own boat,
Yep. But guess what? Your insurance only covers so much in personal, reliability.
That's exactly it. Yeah. John put something interesting here. He goes, maybe a reasonable grace period between launch and lines in, as well as a grace period between lines in and check-in in order to help eliminate the need to rush. There's a possibility there,
Yeah.
It's all in how they go to run it, But
I don't think anything's really going to change.
I think you're probably right. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that if she's actually going to sue anybody, it's the angler directly. Yep. I think that's ultimately what it's going to do. But yeah, that's rough, dude.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll probably, like I said, money talk. So it'll probably get settled outside of court. That would be my bet. If she doesn't, she's crazy because, like you said, if she decides to take this to trial, that's when they're going to break down any type of,
all of that is all going to,
Yep. And that's where she could fuck herself. So,
and there might even be in that terms, like a liability thing for the angler. Like it's possible Flint's covered, you know what I mean? Under that. So,
but on the same spectrum, maybe this lawyer's pushing for it. I mean, obviously he's gotten his eyes on this already.
Yep.
So maybe he's broken it down and he's found something, or he's like been like, oh, there isn't something that's strong enough to kind of push rely. And so who knows? We'll see. I don't think we'll know anytime soon. I think this is going to be ongoing for quite a while, but that is the update on that, Bobby.
Damn, dude, that is fucking bananas. Shit. Yeah, it's never good to hear. Never, ever good to hear. No. Why don't we do this? Let's regroup. We're going to talk about that, what folks call the September slump, that summer to fall transition. It can get very dicey for folks. I feel honestly like maybe I'm experiencing it right now, at least this last weekend on the water. Yeah, I caught some fish, but they were not at all what it was that I was looking for. And it can get kind of nuts. We're going to talk about that coming up after this. Plus, we do have a couple of calls on the live well today. We got one from our friend Dave Urkey. We also have one from Eli and an FTG that's coming up that has to do. Well, there's going to be a little bit of discussion that follows up. We've heard from this person before. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. We'll see you guys. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this.
And perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
guys, just the tip for this week's show is a timely one. Talks about conditions that folks are kind of like experiencing right now. And you can take this and kind of apply it to, and I've done a little bit of work to try to give this in more of like a regional sort of explanation. But I want to talk about initially the September slump. Anglers will often talk about the September slump. It's generally a week or two, found typically in mid-September, where it just sort of feels like the fish disappear. And it's not magic. It's the transition. Bass are going to change depth, feeding strategy, and locations, moving from scattered summer spots into tighter fall staging areas. The common story is that an angler will fish around the usual summer spots for days with very few bites, and then hits one long point or hump in the evening, and then finds a school of bait with 8 or 12 bass that are stacked along the break. Suddenly, the slump was over. The takeaway practice by anglers give one another during September. Focus on transitions and be thorough. Cover points, cover flats that go into deep water, and creek mouths. Fish are usually there. They're just not where they were a week or so earlier. So that is like, that's very timely right there. But what we're really talking about here is the summer to fall bass transition right here. And let's talk about what are the changes that are happening in the transition. Water temperatures are going to fall gradually. They're often going to go from like the high 70s and 80s down into like the 60s or the low 70s. Bass are going to begin shifting from their full summer patterns in deep or stable or shallow, depending on the lake, toward fall feeding behavior, like stacking up on these transition zones and where the bait fish are going to collect. Your bait fish are going to move too. Schools will concentrate. They're going to concentrate on points. They're going to concentrate on flats that have access to deep water at those creek mouths, and at current seams too. Your activity windows are going to shift, more aggressive at dawn and at dusk. And midday can be hot or good depending on your conditions regarding clouds and wind. Your weather fronts are going to play a role here too. Your cool fronts are typically going to slow and push those fish a bit deeper temporarily. Stable and warming post-front days are going to kick bites into that high gear. Now, as far as weather and environmental signals, these are some things that you can watch and a little bit of info on what they kind of mean. Your falling air temps and these cold fronts, fish are often going to slump. They're going to move deeper and tuck into cover. Your slow presentations and deeper targets are best for 24 to up to 72 hours or so after a strong front. Your rising temps and your warm, stable, high pressure days, well, those areas, your fish are going to be more willing to move. You want to expect more shallow activity and better topwater chances as well. A barometer is your friend. Your short-term sensitivity, rapid falling pressure, it can increase aggression. Your very low or rapidly rising sometimes reduces surface activity. Don't obsess over this necessarily. Use it with wind, cloud, and temp. As far as wind direction and strength, wind will push, we know this. Obviously, that wind pushes bait into, wind-blown shorelines, creates concentrated feeding zones. It's like a buffet. Moderate wind is often the ticket, which you're really looking for. Cloud cover in light levels overclass to anything that's more daytime foraging across flats. Your bright sun is going to give you fish that you'll find that are going to move deeper, or you can target them on shaded structure. As far as universal, like sort of structure or locations that are going to hold some fish during the transition, these are the highest probability zones and most lakes or reservoirs. Points that are going to connect a shallow flat to deep water. Classic staging, ambush areas, your drop-offs and break lines, the edge of a flat right at deep water. This is especially where bait can travel right along the edge. Your creek mouths and submerged secondary channels here, your bait is going to congregate there as long as they as they funnel in or out of that creek. Current seams and wind-blown shorelines, wind is going to push bait into all of these areas. As far as your rock bakes or humps or isolated structure like stumps and brush piles, these are ambush points. they're ambush points during movement windows. So in those opportunities where your conditions are leaning toward this is going to be something you're going to want to keep in the back of your mind. Your vegetation edges that are and the inside edge of thick weeds, your bass will move along these edges to pick off baits. And of course, shallow saddles that are between deeper basins, they're funnels for migrating fish. And where you find those fish, you're going to find your bass. Let's talk about some stuff region specifically, like in the northern lakes and the Great Lakes areas, like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ontario, even Quebec. When cooling begins earlier, your peak transition is typically in late August and September. Now, this is going to vary year to year. I want to point that out, that sometimes it's a little bit warmer in that late August, or it doesn't cool down until a little late in September, or you get this August shutdown where it starts a little bit earlier. So it's not about the months here, folks. It's about the temps and the trends. Where you're going to find them, fish are going to stage near humps, reef edges, along points, especially ones that drain into deep basins. Bait fish are going to school along deep weed lines and humps. A medium to deep diving crankbait can be awesome. Swim baits that are over humps and shaky heads or neds on edges are fantastic. Use your football jigs for rocks. As for electronics, side scan and single beam are typically extremely helpful to find your schools. In the Midwest, we're talking here Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Iowa, Montana, similar to northern as far as the time of year, slightly later though for the southern sections of those states. You want to find your fish there in like your creek mouths, your main lake points. Go in your back bays and your current seams in river or reservoir systems. Your spinner baits will work great. Lipless cranks for schooling fish. Carolina rigs when you got to go deeper. And you can definitely search with some topwater stuff early in the day or late in the day. That's capitalize on that dawn and dusk window. As far as the Northeast, and we're including not only New England here, but New York and Pennsylvania as well. In small to medium lakes, you're going to look for points and submerged rock piles. It's just money. As far as rivers go, edges and current breaks are going to be your friend. Finesse tactics here on pressured waters, neds and shaky heads, those typically pay off great. Bigger baits on less pressured reservoirs. As far as your southeast and Gulf Coast states, we're talking Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. The transition is going to happen later down there. Water remains warmer longer and fish may still be shallow. Shallow flats at night are great. Grass edges are great. Hydrilla, any kind of weed edge really is going to be great. Fish are going to school or can school in shallow waters during the cooler nights. And your tactics, top water at dawn or dusk is going to pay off big. Skirted jigs when you're fishing heavy cover, that's a no-brainer. Shallow running crankbaits can also be great to fish the shallows at night. In your southern plain states like Texas, tailwaters, reservoirs, points and creek channels are going to be key. Mix, as far as your tactics, mix of shallow and deep are going to pay off depending on recent temps. That's a huge thing to pay attention to, is like what's happening currently, what's the trend, what's happened previously, and where are we going. Be ready to switch reaction baits when the bait's concentrated though. As far as your mountain west and Pacific Northwest area, we're talking high altitude lakes. Remember, they're going to cool fast. And that's a rule that can kind of work all overall. Your high altitude, your bodies of water are going to drop temp fast. You're going to see this occur where that higher elevation is going to be. The transition can be earlier in September. As far as where you're looking, reservoir ledges, current in river systems, deep basins close to feed sources are going to pay off. Trolling or deep crankbaits for deep staging fish, jerkbaits and swim baits if you're fishing points. As far as lure presentation by situation, let's go ahead and break it down. For scattered roaming bass where the bait's kind of all over the place, topwater early or late, jerk baits are going to pay off. Spinner baits too. Fast erratic retrieves help. Concentrated schools of fish. We're talking those bait fish pods that are on like those flats and points. Lipless will work great. Swim baits are going to be fantastic. Your small to medium size typically, and your bladed jigs, if the conditions are right, work through those pods and along the edges, and you can pick up some fish. When you're talking about a post front or the deeper and slower fish, jigs. football flipping jigs, I mean, throw them deep. They're going to be tied to the bottom, and that's going to help huge. Carolina rigs. If you've ever wanted a time to fool around with a Carolina rig, this is a great opportunity. Throw that deep and just drag it slow. Drop shots are going to be huge. Ned rigs, obviously. And your downsized soft plastics. You can Texas rig them, rig them how you like. That's going to get bit. We're talking about slow, deliberate presentations on or below the brake line. As far as vegetation goes, weedless stuff. You're talking about your weedless jerkbaits, your flukes and things. Flipping jigs, flip that stuff right into the grass. Any topwater or frogs are great in heavy mats with that matted vegetation up on top. And then when you're talking about rocks and structure, crankbaits, jigs, and your bladed jigs, it's just a home run. As far as patterns to look for and seasonal timing, your early transition, late summer into early September, bass are still going to hold deep structure during warmer afternoons. Mornings and dusk, they'll move more shallow. Search your flats for bait schools. In the mid-transition, we're talking about most bass are going to begin getting a little bit more predictable staging on key transition points and on humps. They're going to concentrate and feed heavily on baitfish. Prime schooling behavior is what you're going to see at this point. And then as we get into the late end of that transition, like getting out of September and into October, when things are really starting to get like it's fall, y'all, they're going to be active. They're going to be chasing and pre-winter feeding. This is when the feed bag goes on for real. Your larger size swim baits and your longer retrieves to cover more water, it's going to pay off big. And what do you do after a cold front? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to reiterate here. Like the first, 24 to 48 hours, you want to fish your deeper structure. Your slowest presentations are going to work. Your jigs, Carolina rigs, drop shots, things like that. Expect tighter, tactically precise bites from these fish. You get a little bit further in, we're talking about like up to 72 hours later, start probing transitional edges around windblown shorelines. Add reaction baits in short bursts and see if they're there. And when you're at like post stability, we're talking that warm day that's after the front, fish are then going to begin to start to move a little bit more shallow and get more aggressive. Try topwater at dawn or dusk or crankbaits on points in the midday area. And as far as your quick reference table, as far as, schooling bait fish on flats, like a lipless crank, a 3 or 4 inch swim bait, a spinner bait, solid gold. Your deep post frontal fish, this is where your Carolina rig, your football jig, and your drop shot's going to pay off. Fish in those vegetation areas, a finessey frog will do the trick. A weedless jerkbait like a fluke, throw that sucker. And then, of course, you can always punch that grass. And then for your rocky points and humps, if they're shallow enough, a square bill's awesome. Bladed jigs are awesome, and you can't go wrong with a jig. So let's talk about some of the stuff to keep in mind during the day as you're entering into the transition time here. During the morning, that's where your topwater, your jerk baits on those flats and points are going to pay off. You get into mid-morning into midday, so we're talking like mid-morning about like 9, 10 o'clock. As we go into that midday into the afternoon, you want to probe deep edges, humps, and points with crankbaits or swim baits. Use electronics to your advantage to find the bait fish. Later in the afternoon, slow presentations on deeper structure, especially if a front is passed. Otherwise, you can target windblown shallow edges. And then we're talking about like in the evening, like as the sun is actively starting to set, topwater and reaction baits on flats and on points, money in the bank. Final things, be a detective. Note where the bait is. How deep is it? And where bass appear to be relative to structure. Follow the bait. Slow your pace down a little bit. When you fish slow, smaller and slower presentations obviously work better. Change up your retrieves and your lengths. Short pauses versus a steady retrieve is going to trigger a different response. And don't be loyal to a specific spot. Probe multiple points and break lines. Fall staging can be small and very concentrated. And make sure to use your electronics as a tool. Dare I say an advantage. Use them to locate your baitfish schools and your temperature breaks that it can save you hours looking around and fishing dead water. So, the fall transition, folks can for sure struggle like crazy. But this is your opportunity to get on them, and don't beat yourself up over it. Just like I said, I think the main takeaway is be a detective. Zach says it best. He says, I'm going to start probing some humps.
Nice one, Zach.
He is. And then he goes, start probing. Everyone get their fall probing. It's important. I knew as I was going through those, I was like, I should have used a different word there. But, it is jigs and bigs, and it is what it is. It's like, so the first time I ever heard the phrase September slump was only like last year. Like, I think I may have heard it, but I think last year, like, it became something I heard like quite a bit. And I'm like, I don't know that that's actually a thing. And I'm like, I guess it is, and obviously it's going to depend on, I know this is something that irritates some folks. It's like it would be nice to like take a look at a month and say, this is what's going on that month. But the reality is, like, you might have a colder March than normal, or warmer, or April, or whatever the month is. And it's more or less looking at playing detective and figuring out what's happening where, and not getting too lined up, John Hagens. Make sure it's consensual. If anybody thinks they're getting on the implication and doing some probing with Bobby Roast Beef, I think my wife might have something to say. I think that might be the case. If the lake is in turnover, go to a river or go home. I mean, turnover, it's so crazy because not everybody water is going to turn over.
Yeah, you're right.
And,
you're right.
And it is tough. Like, there are some, that's the nice thing about rivers, though. I will tell you, it's always an adventure,
Yep.
It's crazy. What do you have to say about this, Joe? Do you have any feedback as far as like?
No, I think you've hit absolutely every possible thing. That's what I was going for. I can't really add to that.
Wide net. And it was, I was like, man, fall means so much. So I did a little bit of digging to get some info regarding the specific regions to try to put it into some compartments for you guys to kind of understand. Because we hear this stuff all the time on social media, on YouTube, and folks are giving tips. And then you take into consideration like where these folks fish. It's a bit different with pros, because they travel so much. So if they're giving you some juice, like, definitely it helps because they've got the experience to kind of back it up, getting to some of these areas. That is kind of helpful. But you got to take into consideration like where everybody is. Like, I was talking with Becca and she's like, the leaves are like significantly changing already up in Maine where she is. And she's almost in Canada. And I'm noticing some color change down here a little bit. It's kind of breaks my heart a little bit to see it, but I know it's coming to an end. So I'm going to squeeze in as much fishing as I possibly can. But man, it was freaking nuts. So here is this week's FTG.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Hey man, jigglers and beggars. It's Junior again. Hey, I wanted to call in another one of them fuck them guy things. It's been a rough week, man. It's my fault. I kind of started it. But Bubba's in jail now, and it's my fault. I kind of called the law on him about the beer thing, and the cops they weren't going to go over there, but I kind of told him that he might have had some things that didn't belong to him. And he might have got at that stuff in kind of an unconventional way, if you know what I mean. So he's in jail, and now my sister ain't talking to me. She's mad at me. She done went down and filed an order of protection against her. I don't know how it's going to work out, because she's just in the next room, man. We share the same damn trailer. And she's mad because she can't go over to Bubba's now. Now I feel bad because the boy done went to jail. And, now, they did bust them for legit reasons. I mean, you only have one car. What do you need 20 catalytic converters for? But yeah, it's kind of a fuck me situation this time, man. And I feel bad, but I don't at the same time. But now I ain't got nobody to fish with. Got the big tournament at the Pay Pond this coming weekend, and I miss my brother, man. So I just called in to say, fuck me, 6 days from Sunday, because I'm a fucking moron. Mom told me once I dropped out of school, my life was going to be shit. I thought I was living it up, but here we are. Sister ain't talking to me, brother's in jail. Now I got to beg for rides to work down at the Taco Bell. Anyway, fuck me. And, tight lines, I guess. At least somebody's gonna have some tight lines. I ain't gonna be fishing. I see y'all.
What? I feel like this is turning into a saga.
It is. Todd says next week their sister's gonna call in on them, and they're both in jail. So we had a little bit of a. This has resonated with folks. Like in a big way, and I'll be honest with you, it's kind of a little bit nuts. I got a DM. I was talking with Zach about it today, and there's a lot. So I did a little bit of digging. These are coming from 2 different phone numbers. Like in the same area code, like, you know what I mean? But like they're coming from 2 different coming from 2 different phone numbers. Now I know that there's things you can obviously do, and I'm going to drop this in here. You remember we've had on the live well, and I think on FTG as well, Josh Burge, South Jersey Josh.
Yeah.
So he sent me a DM. He was like, this was like, what was it? It was the day the show dropped. It was like that day. He goes, bro, there is no way that Junior and Bubba aren't the same people. LOL. He says, I've got 2 reasons to believe that. He goes, the first one is that my wife downloaded an app that lets you pick a random number to call that isn't, that isn't your own. She's used it on me trying to prank call my work phone when I'm on call for work at stupid late hours, or when she knows that I'm busy as fuck. Yeah, she's a self-proclaimed jerk. Second reason is this. He goes, it's the sister part. He goes, it's odd that Junior brought up something like that out of context, but maybe out of just added frustration. Either way, that's not something most people with even a few brain cells would bring up publicly. However, the fact that Bubba brought it up as well, as if he knew Junior had called in and mentioned it, and then needed to justify it, but he would have to know that the first brother called it in. Including their names, it all sounds like it's just too over the top to be real. So then I responded, I go, good point. I said, but it sounds to me like Bubba might just throw around the sister fact as a little bit of a dig to Junior for missing out on the opportunity. Junior may very well be dwelling on it too. I have a feeling that's the case. And maybe it's just become a point, or maybe it's come to a point that he just mentions it out of his own frustration as a release of the anguish that his siblings have impacted him with. And then I go, I feel like we're diving too deep on this. And he goes, if this whole thing is a joke, then it's exactly what the person wants to be happening. And I said, yeah, you're right. If someone's fucking with us, they definitely are. It's kind of crazy overall. Like the whole thing is nuts. I kind of... One of the video ideas I have is this, and I don't know if this is stupid. Jigheads that are in here, you guys can give me some immediate response. I feel like I need to travel and fish at a pay lake, like undercover, like some fucking 60 minutes shit, and see if this is actually what the fuck goes down there. And
yeah, no shit.
You know what I mean? And just see because I feel like we have... we've kind of crossed into a different demographic here. Like, if that's what's going on, you know, I don't know. Maybe I go in and I do. I'm going to read a comment here, and there's something I want in here. Zach says, all this detective work, you need the Law and Order done. You mean this? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I don't know. I just think that there's something going on, and it's kind of crazy. I'm very afraid to call them, like, and record something on the show.
Right.
You know what I mean? Have
you tried to call
weird.
the numbers back?
I haven't had anybody that's picked up. Because I'm sure it shows up as like Jigs and Bigs podcast.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe should I try like a fucking text and see if I can? I don't know. I'll have to fool around.
Maybe we just let it play out and see what happens.
That's what I think is probably best. Like just to let it happen. Todd makes a good point. He goes, I don't think that they would pay to fish. But they did mention, it was Junior that mentioned it in the first call, that this was the whole thing went down at a pay lake with the beer. I don't know. I'm fucking interested. Like sometimes Bobby Roast Beef likes to dabble in the gutter a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's okay. That's all right.
I don't know. Is there any jighead that's in the chat right now, or any listeners right there that have experience with pay lakes or would be game to roll into a pay lake situation just to kind of like find out the culture? Like, let me give you an example of where my mind is at right now. I look at a pay lake section, like at a pay lake experience, almost like the lightest, most like watered down of like gathering of the juggalos that there could possibly be.
Yes.
And
you're probably right.
I don't know. I mean, I could do it as a winter trip. John Higgins chimes in and he says, you'd be surprised at how many pay lakers bitch about buying a license, then go pay twice as much to fish a pay lake. I mean, I guess the idea, the fact that they stock these places with bigs anyway, they're kind of like, well, if I got to pay to buy a license, why am I doing an accent? That is fucking so not cool. Why am I doing an accent? But like if they, it's like, they're like, well, if I got to pay something, I might as well know that there's big fish in there that fucking somebody put in there, somebody poached. John says, I would be game, but my catfish trail strictly forbids pay lake fishing. That makes perfect sense. That makes absolute perfect sense. I don't know. I'm interested, set up in camp and like a little documentary.
Jigs and Bigs documentary series. Incest on the pay lake.
Is it a new epidemic? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I have a feeling this is not the last you've heard of either Bubba or Junior.
I think you're right.
I would think if Bubba had called from jail, like if we were the phone call, then I'd be like
100% fake. No way. No way.
Nobody's going to do that, but we didn't hear about it. So I'm like, okay, like maybe it's just, maybe I'll have to go and give it a shot. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We'll figure it all out. But let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to be back with the live well right after this, guys. Don't go too far.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Yep. It's accurate. And we're going to get into all the burning questions. We have 2 calls this week for the live well, and we're going to dive right in, guys. Eli called late last week, and we're going to hear from Eli. What does he have to say in the live well?
Hey, Eli, with a question for the live well. I am right now about to start respooling a couple spinning reels. When you're putting backing on a spinning reel, does it matter the line size of the backing, or does that depend on if you're using it as like backing to leader, or just like backing to fill the spool? Is there really a difference that you guys do? Because I'm terrible at tying connection knots between line to line, so usually I don't throw anything with a leader. So yeah, what's your thoughts on that? What do you guys do? Bye.
All right. So for those that are curious or don't know what backing is, so on a spinning reel, typically, like if you're throwing braid as your main line, on a spinning reel, you have backing, which is basically just what's going around the spool itself as almost like a filler, really.
Yeah.
And it also makes it really easy when you have to re-spool. Now you're just tying a connection knot from that new main line, whatever you're replacing it with, to the backing that's on there. Now, I'm going to tell you, Eli, just use mono for your backing. It's cheap and it'll do the job. You don't want to take up too much, real estate on your spool. So just use something like kind of like in the wheelhouse or slightly smaller than what you're putting on. So if you're throwing 10-pound braid, putting on 4-pound mono will be fine.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll be absolutely fine. As far as the relationship to backing and the leader. So just to kind of as an example. You have your backing that goes on first on the spool, and your backing should never, ever, ever go through your guides. Like if you can start to see your backing through the main line, you got to add more main line. You got to put more main line on. So the backing should stay on the spool all the time. What it's basically doing is anchoring that main line to that spot, and you want mono so it doesn't slip. Because braid, I was
just gonna say,
braid, that'll slip on you.
Yep.
Then your main line is the biggest chunk of what's on your spool, Yeah. And your leader is only the very end of it that gets tied to your bait, directly right there. So if I did have a tip for you, Eli, it is pick a connection knot and get good at it. Doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to tie the FG knot. You don't have to tie whatever it is. Pick a connection knot and get good at it. I like a double uni because I like the idea of one knot and another knot holding together like that. They don't come apart, I have never had an issue throwing them through guides. Some people, they are overly focused on other shit. I'm like, I've never had that issue, but your experience may vary. So I would say, practice your connection knots. But when it comes to backing, mono's the way to do it. I've had heard people use braid as their backing on bait casting reels, I think. And I just use mono all the time.
Yeah, because it would. I would think it would slip.
I would too. I would assume the same thing, that it would slip, but nuts. That was pretty easy. Let's go ahead and do this. Dave called in with one.
Bobby Joe, this is a question for the live well. This is Dave. Anyways, so I'm really excited. I'm about to go do my first nighttime fishing send with Wiener Fingers. Not with Wiener, with Andy, nicknamed Wiener Fingers. Anyways. And we are going to be going out to body water. We fish all the time. I've never really done a full nighttime send. I've only fished in the dark during the Jigs and Bigs tournaments for the most part, and that's only for the first hour of the day. So what would be your suggestion this time of year, into the fall? What are you guys thinking for nighttime presentations? What's your go-to lure? And what's the lure that surprised you the most that works so well? I think I got that right. If I didn't, there's a lot of nonsense on your voicemail. Thanks, bud. I'll talk to you later.
This is tough.
Yeah, I don't do a ton of nighttime fishing. But when I do in the dark, I guess my go-to, because I love it so much, is I love fishing topwater when it's dark. So you can your reaction is based off the sound of your lure getting smashed.
Definitely.
And again, this is a tough one because I don't do it very often, or ever really. But you kind of go back to that. They make specific lures and lure colors for nighttime fishing, and they're all based off black colors. So I guess that is kind of the thing. So it's essentially fishing the same way, just with those different color tones. But when I am fishing when it's super dark, I always throw topwater, because I just love, especially when you can't see shit and you just you hear that splash of them hitting that lure that you can't actually see. That's just my preference and my go-to.
There's a ton of people who will say top water all day, and I agree. I 100% agree. It's weird when it comes to night fishing. My experience is fucking terrible. Yeah. Primarily because when I have the opportunity to go and fish at night in the dark, it is a treat. It's because I'm usually working an event until whatever time at night, and I've got to get up that next morning, and it's just not conducive, you know. And the few times that I've been out fishing at night, I have had zero luck. Like I remember one night I was out with Sean and Nelson, and these dudes were just cleaning house on bladed jigs and spinner baits. And I mean, they were just throwing the stuff that they would conventionally throw and whatever, you know. And there is a short list of baits that are like staples that a lot of people like. Throwing a stick bait like Texas rig to something that's not going to get snagged necessarily is a great idea. You know, that'll definitely get some bites. Throwing top water is a big one. I like a crawler or a wake bait. Yeah. Something like that. That's usually really good. The one that's probably produced the most for me is a buzz bait. And I will say there's a little caveat there, because I have found like the buzz bait bite for me, the instances that I've been using it, after like it is dark, it just shuts off. You know what I mean? It's in that as it starts to get dark, it'll be fire, and then that's it. So I would say, like, I mean, you know, there is one specific thing that a lot of folks talk about that is a great night presentation. Vibration is going to be a good thing. So like that's why like your bladed jigs and stuff is going to help. A spinner bait, but specifically like with a big Colorado blade that's going to thump more than like any kind of like flash necessarily. Something like with a big Colorado blade will work. A black spinner bait specifically can be absolute money in the bank. I've got a couple of those, but it's like my opportunity to get out and do some nighttime fishing is not ideal.
Right.
Maybe I need to say fuck it and just start like taking the boat with me to trivia and sending it.
Oh, that would be dope. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cool. And just fucking suck it up and do it. And then I'd have to do it, you know, maybe during like a school vacation. No, that's not going to work, because we're talking about fucking maybe in April I could do it, but I don't know. I think that, crawlers and wake baits for me for topwater have been great. I think wake baits specifically, I've had probably the best results with, but it's nuts. Although I say that, I was on Winnie with my dad. The last night that we were there was Friday night, and we went out, and I was killing them on small swim baits. You know, it was really good. And we went back and it was dark. That was the night that we went back, and I was like, I can't find my fucking nav light. Like, where the fuck is it? I'm like, we're not very far. Let's go ahead and go back. And actually, I take that back. The night I was fishing with Paul after that, same thing. It was on finesse swim baits. Okay. So I would say use the stuff that you're comfortable with using, but think about, I would say think about what you're throwing, you know. Be careful fishing near the bank, so you're not like making a bomb cast and it lands in a tree and you're like, fuck my life. Maybe throwing that, you know, $300 crawler isn't a good idea. Something like that. I don't know. John Carter jumps in. He says, black spinnerbait, single Colorado, biggest you can have, spooks, and musky jitterbugs. Musky jitterbugs. I could see that. A lot of vibration. Disturbance at the surface is really good. You know, something like that can work. I'll bet you poppers would be great too. That's true. Yeah. I bet you a popper would really do good making some noise. My go-to at night, he says. Eli goes, crawlers are great, but if you have to be patient, you would, if you have to be patient, link like you would be with a frog.
A frog would be, I think a frog would be not good at night, because you have to, it's such a visual bait.
Yep. With a crawler, at least you've got trebles.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the same thing actually with like a wake bait, because you've at least got that working behind you. Eli says English is hard. John says, oh yeah, crayfish imitations may work well too. Actually, let's go a little bit earlier. He says, my whole life is night fishing. That makes sense. He goes, but it's just not bass. He goes, color doesn't really matter at night. Dark colors may add to the profile, especially in moonlight. That's the thing. Those dark colors, it's not about the color. It's not about them seeing the bait. It's about them seeing the shadow.
Right.
That makes a big, big deal. It says crayfish imitations may work well too, since crayfish venture out further from their hiding places in the dark. I did not realize that. That's a good one. That's a real good one. And then, Eli says, sorry, I meant to say if you have a bigger crawler. Then Todd says, don't you teach English? Yeah, but it's all learning. You know, here we are. We're learning, you know. And he's on his lunch break, you know. Yeah, that about does it this week. So, yeah, go out and fish at night, you know. Dick around a little bit. Shot. Yeah, you know, vibration is a good thing. It'll make things work for you, you know.
Yep.
And yeah, don't worry so much about colors. But dark colors are definitely going to give you that outline, that silhouette. And sometimes that's the biggest part right there. Right. So with all that said, let's go ahead and wrap this sucker up. Joe, you have any last words for this week's episode?
No, man. Good show. Good information. Week to week. Let's go.
Yeah, it was good shit. It was very, very good shit. Good. I'm hoping to get out there and do some fishing this week. I'm going to be dropping the date. It's going to be the 27th. Just a heads up. September 27th is the next slot limit tournament. So be ready. It's not this coming weekend. It's the following weekend. Still have no idea where I'm going to go. We're going to have to figure that shit out, but it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys have yourself a good one. We will see you in 7 days of more Jigs and Bigs goodness right here. I do have a interview on deck with Matt from Boston Anglers, and I can't wait to talk about him. In fact, Boston Anglers is probably best known for their like giant silicone craw style baits, and they are pretty badass. And if you want, throw those suckers at night. I see a lot of pictures with those as night baits. Crawfish venturing out, you know. You guys have a good one. We will see you in 7 days with more Jigs and friggin' Bigs goodness. Grab yourself, do us a favor, share this show with your friends. Let them know what you're listening to and what you enjoy. We will see you guys in 7 days with more Jigs and Bigs goodness, like we always say.
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.